though. They handed those out at a game earlier this season. Michael Laverne, our referee, as he blows the whistle. Let's love the game from Clemson, South Carolina. Love those easy to read numbers on the jerseys. Clemson all in orange, Duke all in blue. Should be a great one here tonight. Jen Hildreth, Casey White on the call. Cam Roller was ACC Defensive Player of the Week last week for the Blue Devils, number 7. They're in the middle of that back 3 for the Blue Devils. These first few minutes are going to be interesting, aren't they? Because I told you how Robbie Church had mentioned one of the things that has gotten his team rolling, especially these last couple of games where they're coming off a 5-0 win against East Tennessee State, a 7-0 win against Missouri. They've been aggressive from the start, but Clemson saying they know they need to protect their home field too and show that they're willing to be aggressive even against a team playing as well as Duke.
Exactly, and we saw where Missouri sat back a little bit against Duke, and that just made it easier on Duke. So Clemson definitely going to want to press in their own right in good moments. It's about picking the moments to do so, and Duke is going to do that on the flip side as well.
That is Leah Freeman in goal, the 5th-year senior for the Blue Devils. 2nd year at Duke after 3 years at Oregon. Both teams have had some injuries to contend with. For Duke, theirs have been of the season-ending variety. Unfortunately, Kat Rader out. She was hurt in the game against North Carolina, former ACC Freshman of the Year a couple of years ago. It's a big hit to their attack. Elle Piper, Bailey Brewster also out for the Blue Devils.
And that's something that so many teams deal with, and you have to figure out that next up person and the person who's going to step in and have that opportunity. There's a lot of depth in this Duke team, and I think we're already seeing that early on, but those are some very big losses from the roster.
Yeah, and then Clemson could make the same claim. They're a bit shorthanded. Renee Lyles has not been available yet this season, their top scorer in the spring. Senior for this Tiger team that could use a few more veteran presence out there. Emily Bruff has been out. Anna Kastenfeld, a freshman who started 6 matches, she's not available tonight. And so the deck gets shuffled, and Eddie Radwanski has not been afraid to do that and move some of even his stars around. You talk about Danny Davis, you may see her in the midfield. Right now she's trying to help defend as Duke attacking on the far side. Haas squirted it through, she'll get it back. Ella Haas, one of the transfers into the Duke program this year from Northwestern. And a corner kick coming up. First of the match for the Blue Devils. Hannah Bebar, grad transfer from Harvard, ready from the corner. And Duke calling for another one. They'll get it back to back. Clemson needs to create the orange wall, as that drum would call for. Second corner kick coming in. Better looking ball. It forced Reason to come out and play it. The touch just wide. Maggie Graham has been so good, so opportunistic in those situations, but couldn't put this one away.
She really has been. And what happens here, when this gets cleared out, the back line of Clemson does step. Reason not quite able to get to this, and then she just reasserts herself in a new position to try to get on it. You can see the disappointment there. It was kind of between her right and left foot, trying to decide how to finish, and it goes just wide.
Maggie Graham, 3 goals, 1 assist on the season for the graduate student for the Blue Devils. She scored the game winner against North Carolina when the Tar Heels were number 2. That was technically a non-conference match, but those two rivals playing just a couple of weeks ago, and Duke beating North Carolina at home in Durham for the first time ever. Casey, let's get a couple of your keys to this match for the Blue Devils.
I think for Duke, it's an aggressive start. Try to press early, put Clemson under pressure, and try to play the majority of the game in Clemson's defending half. They're going to get possession, but can they get possession higher up the field to make sure they earn that space?
past few years, Duke has always been hovering around that upper echelon of the ACC and been to 4 college cups in their history, but the last not coming since 2017. The defense typically has been pretty sound. The offense has been what's lacking, and that has been really a huge difference, although the defense has been sterling when you haven't given up a goal in 5 matches.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have when we don't know which side to talk about, the out of possession or the in possession, because both are good.
Tatum short, on it now for Clemson. Back to Davis. As the Tigers work it around, Casey, your keys for Clemson tonight.
Well, one of the big things is going to be to deny the penetration down that central channel. There's 4 midfield players plus the center forward that they like to play central. So can they keep it away from those players and then get runs above the ball when they do go forward?
In other words, that was about the worst place you want to lose it if you're Clemson, other than maybe right in front of your goal. But that is the area, to your point, that Eddie Radwanski talked to us about that they really needed to protect.
And we're already seeing it early in this game with Brathwaite and Bornkamp. They're actually playing player for player against Maggie Graham and Devin Lynch in those midfield positions and just really marking them tightly and denying service in.
Haas again on that far side. A chance in the box. A shot from Lynch. A save, but it's given up. What a save. Point blank range. No reason. Coming up big for the Tigers. And Lynch can really put some power behind it too. Lynch stepping into the starting lineup in place of the injured Cat Raider.
And she's been in great form. This is really good play down the outside channel. It's perfect textbook ball into the path of Lynch, but what a big save. She kept it low and it's still difficult.
Blue Devils on the attack again. Reason to the rescue again.
Well, I think we knew Reason was going to have a big game, knowing the type of attack that Duke creates going forward. And these are very good, clear chances that Reason is stepping up. And it's not high. It's not the ones that are easier. It's the low ones that are hard, and she's up to the task.
And this is a goalkeeper who 2 years at North Carolina, redshirted one of those years. Not many appearances. Just getting those game minutes back under her belt, getting comfortable, but looking comfortable so far. Bibar. Cross to the other side, it's given up. Reason got her hands to it, but still it got through, and still the Blue Devils attack.
And we have to give a lot of credit not only to Reason there, but also to Bornkamp for the heads-up play on the second chance. This is a great service. It goes across. The initial save as she comes across her net, but it's Bornkamp who gets that right foot in. That's critical defending in a big moment.
Good eye, my friend, for the All-American for the Tigers. Another shot, my goodness. Clemson, what do they need right now just to calm this Duke attack down?
One of the things, they might just need to put their foot on the ball a little bit, and also if they can't do that in their defending third, maybe turn the backs of the back 3 of Duke, play a little bit more in their end and just relieve the pressure.
The goal kick went right to Mia Oliaro of Duke, and now here they come again. Walters just skimming by that far post. Farrah Walters, a junior transfer from Santa Clara, brings a burst of speed up top.
And just building through there, Maggie Graham's not able to get to it. Just a heads-up play to leave it for Farrah Walters. But I like how she stands that pressure initially, takes a little bit of a knock, keeps going, just yanks it a little bit too wide, but trying to find that far post netting on that finish.
And Duke out shooting Clemson 6-0. We're not even 10 minutes in yet. 4 of those shots on goal. Haas has been active on that far side. Gives it up a little earlier this time. Walters, there's a player down in the box. Duke screaming for a penalty. None was given.
Well, what's really interesting about that is that the ball wasn't going to make it through because there was another defender there. It was cut out in that moment, even though it looked like Maggie Graham was the one that went down.
Take a look back at that last attack.
And you'll see it right here. Farrah Walters goes in, and Maggie Graham, it looks like her feet get caught up with Manusos on the far side, but that ball's not going to get to that spot. You see Danny Davis in there, but there's definite contact.
The Duke attack fast and furious at the moment.
I think one of the things you have to look at here, too, is that was she going to make that 3 yards of difference to go left to try to disrupt Danny Davis in that moment?
Brathwaite, sophomore transfer from Georgia, in the middle. Attack-minded holding midfielder, number 30 for the Tigers. Holding the ball at all has been a challenge for Clemson so far.
It hasn't. Brathwaite has been pulled into that holding mid role. She can go forward, but a lot of defensive responsibility here today when playing Duke. And we talked about the aggressive start from Duke. They have started very aggressively going forward, and Clemson just has to try to slow that down.
Kenzie Duff playing it back to Reason in goal. Davis, so impressive a year ago in her freshman season, ACC all-freshman team. Just remember her flying up and down the sideline, member of the all-tournament team as well. Moving to a more central defending role this year, or at times a 6 holding midfield, depending on what needs arise. Free kick coming here for the Blue Devils on that foul. And if you remember, when we came on the air, we showed all the different ways that Duke can score. They have scored directly off free kicks. They've certainly used them to set up their teammates as well. Outscoring opponents 20-1 on the season, and Devin Lynch, Jr. from Naperville, Illinois, can really strike a nice ball. Lynch and the runners ready. Reason coming for it. Next Thursday, our ACC women's soccer match features number 2 Florida State, the defending national champs, squaring off against this Clemson Tiger team at the Seminole Soccer Complex in Tallahassee. This is a College Cup rematch of a year ago, Florida State beating Clemson in the semifinals. Clemson on the attack. Is this one of the moments they can strike in transition, getting down the field in a hurry? Eddie Radwanski saying they were going to have to switch it up. His teams love to possess, but he knows they have to keep defenses honest.
Well, it starts with organization and then the grit to be able to defend. But when they go forward, they do have some quickness with Bodak, who looks to get beyond the 9 up top. But it's something that they're going to maybe just have few and far chances unless they build more into the game, but they have to be ready for them.
There is Bodak, number 2, who you just mentioned, 5'2" freshman who plays much bigger than her size, Coach Radwanski was telling us. Walters wisely waiting for support. Haas always there to provide it on the far side. Good spin and look 2 from Bibar. Haas, a move to free herself. Gets past one more. Haas, the cross. What a handful she has been. Clemson really having trouble containing Duke on all sides. Now the header. Ball a little too high in the offside flag up anyway, but we said Nona Reason was going to have to come up big. It's already been that way tonight.
Absolutely. She has had to come up with not one, but multiple big saves here early on against Duke. That one from Katie Groff on the far post with a little help from Bornkamp, and this one from distance as well. She is definitely awake now if she wasn't before, because she is facing a lot, and she has been incredibly good in these first minutes.
4 saves already for Nona Reason. Her counterpart, Leah Freeman, on the other side, her biggest challenge at the moment, just maintaining that focus. Elite goalkeepers are used to that. But it's not always easy, keeping that mental focus high when you're not involved in the game very much.
That can be difficult because Clemson's a team that can generate opportunities going forward, and we know that this is an unfair game. It could take one chance to go the opposite direction that may go in, and that's what Clemson's going to be looking for.
And historically, this has been a really even series between the two schools. Duke with just a slight edge, leading with 15 wins to 14 for Clemson, 2 draws. The last meeting, Clemson picked up a 1-0 win at Duke last year. That was their first win against the Blue Devils since 2016. Last match here was 0-0. The way Duke has started this one off tonight, be shocked if that's the way this one ends. Oliaro. She winds up out of play, and the ball's out for a Duke throw.
And you just see so many runs above the ball, and what's really impressive is winning the second balls that Clemson clears out or forcing something like a throw in now. That's as equally as important because it keeps teams locked in, and that's another layer to what Duke is currently doing besides just their danger going forward.
This Duke Blue Devil team ascending all the way to number 3 in the national rankings this week. ACC teams holding down the top 3 spots. Stanford at 1, Florida State at 2, this Duke team at 3. We've seen a lot of movement across the poll this year. Clemson starting the year in the preseason top 5. They did obviously finish in the College Cup a year ago, so that accounts for that preseason ranking. They've since dropped out after a couple of losses on the year. Now you see all the ACC teams in their ranks at the moment, but we are just getting going in conference play. So as Robbie Church, Duke head coach, told us earlier, it's fool's gold if you just think everything's going to continue once you get into this conference. Good ball to the back post, header, goal, Duke! That was coming. This Duke attack just unrelenting here at Clemson tonight, and now it pays off with the first goal of the match.
A little fist pump from Robbie Church right there celebrating that, and this is what's really good about Duke. They take small little moments, figure out how to possess. This one coming off the throw, and Devin Lynch comes in, gets on the half turn, realizes she has space, a well-weighted ball in behind to Maggie Graham, and then it's Ella Haas. It's not read real well, the trajectory of the service, and Haas is just waiting on the back post of the 6. It's an excellent ball in, curving away from Nona Reason, and a great finish.
Second goal of the season for Ella Haas. Graham and Lynch both getting credited with assists on the play. Fitting that Haas puts it away, as she had played provider through a lot of the previous attacks. This time she found herself on the end of a great ball that came in from the other side. Bornkamp. Seen her play up top for Clemson. She quickly gets up, looks for the restart, short with the speed. End line, across, Clemson! Oh, an opportunity to answer right away. Cam Pickett up from a right back spot, but now nobody there behind the ball. Clemson still with a throw. Cam Pickett, a grad transfer from Pepperdine, where she spent 4 years. Younger sister of Kiki Pickett, a 2-time NCAA champion at Stanford, now in her 4th year in the NWSL. How do teams respond when they concede? That is always something coaches are looking for. And Clemson with a pretty good response so far.
Well, I like that play from Bornkamp because it's so heads up when they got the foul just to play quickly and put Tatum short in. So you can see that they're wanting to go forward, absolutely. But you also have to think about on the defensive side, you don't want this to become 2-0. So how do you stay compact, make sure that there's not more opportunities as clear as that goal that just went in?
Oliaro, transfer from North Carolina. Through ball for Walters, on the run. Walters tried to squeak it under the elbow of Nona Reason, who makes a save.
Well, what we're seeing from Duke that makes it so hard, we saw it on the goal. There's rotation in midfield that just happens where your holding mids get higher. It's Laguerre here in this moment, a well-weighted ball in behind to Walters for this opportunity. It almost sneaks under Nona Reason, but she makes the save. But we saw it in the goal where Maggie Graham gets really high. Devin Lynch comes to the right, even though she's starting on the left. That's incredibly hard to defend and takes a lot of defensive discipline.
There is Ella Haas, the goal scorer for the Blue Devils in the 18th minute. And already a tactical shift for Clemson with Bornkamp moving higher, as you pointed out. But she was playing a pretty important defensive role early, so can Duke take advantage?
I think you make a really good point there that you do give up something defensively from her presence and her veteran ability, but also she has a goal-scoring touch and she provides herself as a target if there's balls cleared.
Walters and Duke looking to get in behind. Now a chance perhaps for Clemson to catch the Blue Devils out of position if they can go in a hurry. Whistle was blown, free kick coming. Set piece opportunity now for the Tigers.
And that's where the space is. With Duke playing in a 3-back system, there's space wide, so Tobia does really well there, isolates in the 1v1 to draw the foul. So there's certainly some areas of outlet play where Clemson's gonna have to look to try to catch them in transition.
Jenna Tobia, sophomore, member of an ACC all-freshman team a year ago on that College Cup team for the Tigers, started 23 matches, had 4 goals, 8 assists, tied for the team lead a year ago, helping to earn this free kick situation for the Tigers. Driven by Davis, Bornkamp! Drew it up just like they wanted, just didn't quite get the finish from their All-American.
And these are going to be the important moments for Clemson. It's a great ball from Danny Davis right in behind the back line, curving enough that Leah Freeman doesn't want to come out. Bornkamp has a really good opportunity to put that on frame. But I think this is a blueprint for what Clemson can look to do, is try to get in the wide spaces, have some success, or draw fouls, because they're incredibly dangerous on set pieces.
Clemson picking their moments to press. That was one. Ball out of play. I'm going to give you our Week 4 ACC Network football lineup starting Saturday at noon Eastern with 3-0 North Carolina hosting James Madison. Then Virginia Tech's got Rutgers, and we'll cap the night with Boston College and Michigan State at 8. 3-0 Pitt will also host Youngstown State at 3:30 Eastern on ACC Network Extra and ESPN+. You can already feel Clemson gearing up this weekend too. Big football weekend, parents weekend here on campus as NC State is coming to town to Death Valley to take on the Tigers. There's Bodak. Pickett picked her up by keeping control of that ball, was left a little short.
I think there's some good signs from Clemson there in that moment, though, winning second balls, establishing possession. That's what Duke was doing for the first 15 to 20 minutes of this half. They're going to have to figure out how to read balls better and pick up those scraps that are there in that middle third, and then they can establish possession.
Sweet little touch from Graham, but it winds up at the feet of the Tigers. Duke on the move again. Walters trying to beat the ball and beat the goalkeeper to the ball, but Reason aggressive off her line. Had to read that right and did.
And Laguerre and Walters are connecting a lot on those balls behind, and Nona Reason does see this coming in. It's the dribble penetration through midfield, the back shoulder run right there from Walters, but Reason comes out strong and doesn't allow anything else out of it.
The Tigers on the prowl. Bodak. Bornkamp asking for it. Had blue defenders all around her, though. Out wide it goes for Tobia, who's taken more of a wide position on the wing with Bornkamp in the center. And it looks like, too, that Pickett pushing up a little bit more. Manerick has dropped into that back line. Manerick, one of those veteran players that Eddie Radwanski knows he can rely on. Can put her up top, can put her out wide, can put her in the back if he needs to.
It's nice to have that versatility, just like they've done with Bornkamp, just to show Duke some different looks.
Short sneaks this ball through. Bodak. Back across, no runners initially. Now Brathwaite has the shot. It takes a deflection. Most dangerous that Clemson has looked all night. Good numbers, good movement, runs. As they've gotten into the attacking third, Bornkamp wins the header, flicks it back to Freeman.
And it's much better, you're right, from Clemson. More numbers in the penalty area. A great ball from Bodak just to put it back post. Christian Brathwaite steps up. She just lifts it in the air. Placement is probably the better choice there in that moment, but it deflected. It's better from Clemson. More people going forward and becoming more dangerous.
Mentioned it earlier, but the Tigers 0-1 in conference play, coming off a 2-1 loss to Virginia Tech here on their home field a week ago. For Duke, they had a bye in the first weekend of conference play, so this is their ACC opener. The Blue Devils unbeaten their last 11 conference openers. They've won 8 of those, but this is a bad giveaway. Clemson takes advantage, ties it up!
And you can take a look right here. It's Leah Freeman playing out of the back. There's just a little bit of a miscue, trying to find the feet of Nikki Chico, and it's Tobia steps in. She puts her head down, doesn't even take a second thought about it, and absolutely rips it to the near post. This is an incredible finish because you know exactly what she's looking to do. One touch and go towards goal, and you could feel it coming from Clemson, and they're rewarded.
Look what I found, and Tobia does not make a mistake for her second goal of the season. Remember that Duke came into this match having shut out their last 5 opponents. We'll say goodbye to that. And here we are, all tied up. Under 20 to play in our first half. Let the music play.
They're loving it right now.
You take what you're given, and to be fair, Clemson, I think, had earned the opportunity to force a miscue there. Yes, it was a bad pass out of the back from Freeman, but Clemson had numbers, they had a presence in the attacking third, really unlike any we had seen prior to that in this match.
They did, and you never want to play it when your player's not completely opened up. But also, you got to give credit to Eddie Radwanski because he moved into a 5-back system when they were in the attack. That's not how they started. When they're in the attack, it's only 3 in the back, and now you've got numbers more forward. So there's just ability to put more pressure on the Duke back line.
Subs coming for both sides, and we mentioned this earlier, but we have seen a lot of movement. So look at some of these wins and losses of teams when they are either highly ranked or when they're playing highly ranked teams, and just how far you can move. Clemson has a big opportunity tonight. They know it.
They really do have a big one because when Duke got that win over North Carolina, it really propelled them up the standings. We just saw Wake Forest beating Virginia 3-0 just recently this past weekend, and that also helped them. So now Clemson looking for it. They're trying to figure out, okay, we dropped early, but how do we show that we can play with the best?
Good to see Emily Bruff back out there coming onto the field. Did not play the last match. Started the first 6 for the Clemson Tigers. So the junior out of Liverpool, England, replacing Brathwaite in the middle of the field. And then for Duke, Julia Sonicheva, transfer from UCLA in her 2nd year with the Blue Devils, and Nia Minestrella coming on. Walters and Lynch going off.
And as Nona Reason plays out, I don't know if she'll play short or long, but you can see how they've gone to this 3-back system in the back when they build out. It gets Pickett a little bit higher, it gets Manusos a little bit higher as well, and it just puts more runs above the ball, which is something we talked about early on that Eddie Radwanski wanted to do against Duke.
Duke had not conceded a goal since their season opener at Ohio State. 512 minutes they went without allowing a goal. 5th best such streak in program history. And now how do you respond, right? We saw how Clemson responded.
You're right. It's incredibly impressive, but you're not going to go through ACC unscathed. You're going to face a lot of different things from different teams. So you have to see now how this Duke Blue Devil team does respond because it's something they really haven't had to deal with.
I mentioned those gaudy numbers on their 5-match win streak, outscoring opponents 20-0 and 12-0 in their last 2 games alone. Maggie Graham couldn't get it past Davis. Pretty impressive what this Blue Devil defense had done over the last few matches. Clemson finding a way to break through. Duke now on the attack again. Laguerre has had some good looks. Back to Graham. Oliaro. Left football up. Not cleared yet. Reason calling for it, but won't have a chance to get there. That's a corner. 4th of the match coming for Duke. And the last one, I think, probably the best one. It was a while ago. They had a flurry of them, Duke, earlier in the match. And the last one really teased the goalkeeper Reason to come out, try to make a play. She didn't get a solid hand on it. And Abibar, high delivery this time. A lot of air under the ball. Chico. Duke in a bit of a vulnerable position should they lose it. A lot of numbers up. Sasonicheva came off the bench, gets it to the end line. Good positioning by the Clemson defense.
And what they've done is having those 3 center backs there now and the way that they're set up, it just allows more players to be in and around that area because early in the game, they were playing that ball drawn back and Duke was able to get some really point-blank shots on frame against Reason. So that's starting to deny that a little bit more.
Tobia, the goal scorer coming off for Clemson. Aaron Sheridan, a sophomore out of Melbourne, Florida, coming onto the field. No appearances last year for Sheridan. Being called upon perhaps a little bit more in this, her second year with the program. There's Cam Pickett, grad transfer from Pepperdine. Bornkamp. Clemson foul. Chico, this is where the Blue Devils like to go, right up the middle. Graham. Did she stay on side? So far, so good, Minestrella. Haas. Looking across the goal, had a couple of runners there.
And at times, Duke just looks like a well-oiled machine when they're playing an interchange here. And Maggie Graham recognizes the space to give it to Haas, who's great in the 1v1. But look at that ball, incredibly dangerous. Sonacheva almost there on the end. She does leave her feet. There's just so much pace on this. Skips off the ground and goes to the back post.
Ella Haas, an all Big Ten second team selection last year at Northwestern. Eleanor Hayes replacing Minerick now for Clemson. About 11 minutes to go in our first half. Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will get you ready for the day with the 60-minute pregame show. That will lead into North Carolina and James Madison at noon. They'll also have halftime pre- and post-game shows throughout the day, and at 6:30 they'll wrap up the afternoon and get you set for Michigan State Boston College at 8. And guess what? They're not done yet. After the game, full post-game wrap-up for the entire day. Those are long days for our Huddle crew on football Saturdays here on ACCN. Full credit to that crew for keeping you covered all day long. Might hear the lovely tones of the Vuvuzelas here at historic Riggs Field at Clemson. Big ball up in the middle. Can it be brought down cleanly? That would have been really tough. Sonacheva did her best.
And it's pretty impressive that Duke's even able to play out of that pressure right there. Clemson's done a much better job of just swarming the ball and getting more numbers around it. It's just made it a little bit more chaotic for Duke, but they're still trying to find those build-up patterns coming through the midfield.
There they are. It's like, you know when you're a parent and you've got relatives who give your kids those really noisy toys that they don't want to have to listen to, so they're going to give them to you, so you have to deal with it? Yep, thanks, Clemson. That's what's happening here.
We're going to be dreaming about those noises tonight. I love it.
Dream or a nightmare. It's a World Cup in South Africa, I think, the men's side several years ago, right? Where they first really came onto the scene. Oh, what a moment. Didn't know about that. Woo, this ball snuck across.
We can blame South Africa for that.
Yeah, I know. They're like, stop talking about the Vuvuzelas. Let's focus back on the field of play. I mean, you really got to, oh, they extend. All right, we're back. Felt really well controlled there by Oliaro. Still a Duke throw. Clemson at the moment has kept the Blue Devils pinned in here on this side. Bibar now gets it where she wants. Graham. Chico. And Duke is really willing to push a lot of numbers forward, force Clemson to have to defend from all over. I mean, that is Nikki Chico coming up from the right back position in that back three.
You can see the buy-in because it's a lot of risk taking. It takes a lot of confidence to leave only 1 or 2 at the back.
Chance and a shot. Minestrella, what a beauty! Just a bit high.
And again, just that space in front of the back line has been really good for Duke. This time it's Minestrella that's able to find that space, gets on the half turn. B-Bar just keeps it going on, takes 1 touch, sets it up on the prep touch, and then strikes it. It was dipping down. You almost get the feeling if it was another yard deeper, that might have dropped down into the goal.
Minestrella, sophomore, had a brace in the last match against Missouri. Lane St. George making just her 5th appearance of the season, the senior. Just seeing Manusos coming out. Amelia Erickson also coming on, a freshman. Her 5th appearance for the Tigers. What you want to watch for here, does the level drop? A lot of subs for both teams, or does it go the other way? Sheridan giving chase to that ball for the Tigers, but it will be a goal kick for Duke. Join us on Sunday for a doubleheader of ACC women's soccer starting at noon as Cal travels to 13th ranked Wake Forest to take on the Demon Deacons, followed by 2nd ranked Florida State taking on the SMU Mustangs in Dallas. Both games on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Big win for Wake Forest. You saw that when we showed you how the teams have been able to move when you either are a highly ranked opponent and you lose, or you take down one, as Wake Forest did, beating Virginia. Clemson with that opportunity tonight. Duke number 3.
And I think what we're seeing from Clemson is they're getting those wing backs really high. It's putting more pressure on Duke. It allows them to get numbers up a little bit higher. I think that whole change tactically has really changed the trajectory of the game. It's got a great pace, more back and forth than what we saw initially on in the first half.
Thought it was really great chatting with both coaches before the game, and one of the last things that Clemson coach Eddie Radwanski said to us was, I really am excited. I can't wait to see how they respond. He said, it's always a chess match when we play Robbie Church's Duke teams. We're going to have to think out there and respond, and his team did have to do that tonight.
They did, and I think that's one of the biggest compliments you can give another coach, is that you really have to be on your A game, not only your players, but as a staff, and how you're going to adapt throughout. And I would give Clemson a great grade on that, of what they've done. And Duke is still generating chances going forward. You're not going to necessarily stop their attack completely, but you can get better moments going forward and make them have to defend and fatigue.
Bodak. St. George, one of those veteran players. Clemson trying to get healthy, a senior. Just a couple of starts, 4 of them last year in that run to the College Cup, but started 17 matches the year before that. It's just good coverage around the ball by Duke. Winning it back. Now some pressure from the Tigers. Blue Devils all the way back to Freeman. Graham. Where does she want to go? At the moment, it's Minestrella. Laguerre, straight up the middle, Minestrella. Pops it up, had a little spin on it, drops down, Sonacheva! Really, the variety in this Duke attack has been on display in this first half.
The way they're playing, you can tell they've scored an abundance of goals so far this year. It doesn't look like they're overthinking. They're playing with freedom. They're playing with creativity. With that little ball over the top, you can just see it. It epitomizes attacking freedom, and that's nice to see out of this Duke attack.
Battle in the corner. Clemson not done going to the bench yet. Ella Hooser, a senior out of Cornelius, North Carolina, will come on and replace Bodak for these last couple of minutes of the first half. And of course, Hooser, part of Clemson legacy, really, with her mom, Sherry, who's an All-American in soccer for the Tigers. #1 all-time in the program for assists, and her dad, Scott, played baseball at Clemson. Her brother, Nolan, freshman kicker, now on the football team. There's a lot of Clemson orange in that family, no doubt. Duke scoring the first goal in the 18th minute. Clemson coming back in the 27th to tie. And it has felt like, you brought this up a few moments ago, Casey, a much more even battle, really, since that equalizer.
Absolutely, and you see the grit in that tackle as well. They've really played themselves into the game, because there's so many ways that Duke can attack, and they've just tried to figure out how to be stingier.
On the attack again now are the Blue Devils with numbers. Clemson able to get the initial ball out. Minestrella. Back to Chico. Roller. Bouncing ball behind, last touch by Clemson, so they wanted to avoid that corner kick in the dying seconds. Still, Duke perhaps with one more chance in this first half. What a first half in this ACC opener for the Duke Blue Devils. They took the lead, but Clemson coming back to tie it. We are all tied, Casey, 1-1 after 45. Both teams ready and refreshed for the start of the second half. One goal apiece, 45 minutes to decide a winner from historic Riggs Field. Jen Hildreth, along with Casey White, former North Carolina Tar Heel, on the call with you here from Clemson. And what shape might Clemson choose to be in? We saw them shift around quite a bit, as Eddie Radwanski said when we asked him about changes. How long you got? Because there were quite a few, and credit to his Tigers for being able to pull them off in the first 45.
And he did make that shape change to the 3-4-3, and it caused the central midfielders to have to cover a lot of ground in that midfield space, and they did a good job of it and put more pressure on Duke, but also he utilized his bench and bringing subs in to keep that pace going against Duke, because he knew that if they fatigued, that Duke would get another foothold in the game.
Throwing for the Tigers is Cam Pickett, but loses it. Lynch won it for Duke. Laguerre was looking for the return pass, Graham, excuse me, to get it back to Walters. There's Laguerre on it now. Lynch. Pickett tries to see it out of play and does well. Haas scoring the first goal of the match in the 18th minute for Duke. You just saw there, she was a handful pretty much that entire 45, but certainly I would say the first 20 or 25.
That wide space was really good for Duke, and we talked to Robbie about it this week, about how good she is in 1v1 and being able to be isolated there, and Clemson's had to put two players almost to defend her to try to stop her going forward because she's so creative off the dribble.
Lynch, Walters can run. So too can the Clemson defense. They needed some help getting back on that. Manuso's coming over from the far side to help defensively. See Emily Bruff defending there, number 5 for Clemson. That's one change for the Tigers from the way they started the match. She replaces Bodak in the starting 11 for the second half in the midfield. And Eleanor Hayes also starting in the back in place of Sydney Manerick for the Tigers. Duke moving quickly to their attacking third.
And you mentioned the substitution differences. There's a lot of space to cover. Bodak only came out, and correct me if I'm wrong, the last couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes of the first half. And with the way they're set up now, Bodak and Brathwaite were having to cover a lot of ground. Now it's Bruff and Brathwaite that have to do that. And they're really outnumbered in there, so they have to give a lot of energy to winning those balls back in midfield.
And of course, in the second half, that's also making use of the substitution rules in college soccer. You can come in and out in the second half. Re-entry is allowed once. So we'll see if Eddie Radwanski takes advantage of that. Look at Walters go. Davis, too, turned on the burners to get back defensively for Clemson. Bornkamp, 2 times an All-American for the Tigers a couple of years ago. First, she was the set-piece wonder that would just come up and was pretty much unstoppable as a target on set pieces. 10 goals, 10 assists in 2021. A couple of positional changes depending on what the team has needed for Bornkamp since that time. Lynch lays it off. A roller. And Reason with the save. We talked about our coaches and their longevity. There is Robbie Church, and there's Kieran Hall just next to him, who will be taking over in 2025. 6 seasons on the staff, 5 as associate head coach, and certainly you can understand there's been a lot of communication, not just this year, but the last few years as Robbie Church was thinking about winding his career down.
Absolutely. You want to empower that coach that's been working for you, and that's what he's done with Kieran Hall, and just making sure he's ready to step into that role. And he's been a huge part of the success of Duke since he's been on the staff.
Walters got there first, but has to get things turned around the other direction for Duke. Roller will help to do that. Duke still moving. You mentioned, I think you used the term well-oiled machine, Casey, at one point. It did feel that way at moments in the first half. They're just so fluid in their movements, both with and without the ball as they try to build. Excellent defending there, but Duke has numbers. They win it back. In the middle, Lynch gets the shot. Duke has the lead. Third goal of the season for Devin Lynch. Second of this match for the Blue Devils, who go out in front again.
Well, and you were just talking about it on cue, the type of interchange that they have, the movement. And Clemson's defending pretty well in this moment. There's numbers around the ball. It does pop there to Walters. And then this is the ball right across. Lynch just gets that half yard of space. It's the prep touch for me is what sets everything up. This ball from Walters is well-paced. Great defending from Oliaro. Very good commitment from her. But it's the first touch, the prep touch across. That draws Nona Reason to her near post and allows that space to open up on the backside. You'll see it right here. Draws her across, and it's a perfect textbook finish.
She knew exactly where she wanted to go with it, didn't
100%.
she? And not even where she wanted to go with the shot. As you were just saying, that first touch, she knew exactly what she was doing. And Devin Lynch putting it away, making it look pretty.
And once you get into that spot inside the penalty box where you can get the first touch as an attacking player, you know you've got your defender, because if they do anything, there's potentially a foul in the box, and they don't want to do that. So you have the advantage there, and she definitely took advantage of it.
Clemson came back once already in this match to tie. Can the Tigers do it again on their home field tonight? Chance to turn it around. Tobiet was a player who evened the score for Clemson in the 27th minute. Clemson will at times play that more direct ball over the top. They have some speed there on their wings, especially with Tatum short. Number 11, there's your goal scorers so far tonight. Told you that this series pretty tight between these two teams. Duke with just a 1-win advantage. 15 wins, 14 wins for Clemson, 2 draws all time between these two programs. I mean, we've got the band, we got vuvuzelas.
They're getting them back into this. Keep the energy up, right?
I love it. It is never easy to go on the road in the ACC, but you know firsthand, Casey, it's tough.
It is. It's incredibly tough. There's just so many ups and downs. The talent level's high, but also you've got those factors of just being away from home that you've got to deal with.
Clemson coming off that incredible record-setting season a year ago. Ball over the top, short will make a goal for it. There's that speed. Can't quite whip the hips around to keep it in play.
I like the dimension in the attack, though, from Clemson. They are looking to develop the ball up the field a little bit. You saw Pickett kind of playing through the midfield. This time they're looking to go long through short. She has a lot of pace. That one in behind. What you kind of hope for is that Duke expects a long ball, and then you can play in front and just try to mix it up a little bit.
Long through short, I like that. Did you even catch that? The long and the short?
I didn't actually. That was not planned, but thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah, I was giggling. I loved it. Brathwaite, already a big moment in her Clemson career. This is her first year with the Tigers. All up and over, and Freeman will call off her defender for it, but Brathwaite had the 89th minute game-tying goal against South Carolina in that rivalry match earlier this season. Next Thursday, be sure to tune in with us as we've got number 2 Florida State and this Clemson Tiger team going on the road to Tallahassee. College Cup rematch in our Thursday night primetime matchup on ACC Network. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, right here on ACCN, and always on the ESPN app. And one thing to be mindful of as the U20 World Cup is nearing a close, that players are going to start trickling back to their teams now, NWSL teams, college teams. Florida State, one of those, has 6 players away, I think. They have quite a few players who have been on international duty. Looking to get those back in the fold. Haas on the run for Duke, gets in behind the back line. Haas slows it up. Credit the defense for that. The shot too high on the other side from Oliaro.
And that was a great job from Pickett. Nona Reason got caught in like a territory that she didn't want to be in, had to retreat, but it's Pickett right here that comes in. Takes a bit of an awkward fall, but it does slow down Haas just enough that she has to play it wide, and then Manusos puts enough on Oliaro to make sure that one goes over.
Pickett picking the pocket just about on what felt like a breakaway, felt like it should have been in the back of the net, and Pickett coming in just in time. Nona Reason, 6 shots on the night. That ties her season high. This is her 7th start of the season. not been some goalkeepers sharing some time in net for the Tigers thus far. She's put in her work tonight, that's for sure. And it's not done yet.
We've talked a lot about the Duke attack just on the ball, and we've talked about it more in collective attacking, but I think it has to be said, Hannah Bebar in the midfield and Devin Lynch just dealing with pressure on the ball. They've really stood out as being able to absorb pressure, figure their way out of it, and that really stimulates the attack going forward for Duke.
So if you're watching numbers in the midfield, that is 18 and 6 in blue for Duke. Those are the two players, those linchpin type players who are dictating the play that Casey's talking about.
Well, there's your pun that you just got into the game too. Devin Lynch.
I didn't even know it either. Those are the best kind.
Exactly.
Let's see what the stoppage is here. Is that a cleat? Something that just got thrown off to the side. Oh, was it his spray?
I believe so.
Wow. Equipment malfunction for the referee. Clemson quickly looking to goal on the turnover. Bornkamp, fancy bit of footwork.
And Bornkamp, you could see right there, knew where the space was. It's in the change of point on the wide area, just wasn't able to connect. But I would assume we're going to see that more from Clemson in transition, just trying to find that wide space and make the back three defend of Duke.
There's Eleanor Hayes, the sophomore from Louisville, Texas, got the start in the second half for the Clemson Tigers on their back line. Duke, this has been a fruitful part of the field in both halves. Haas on the attack again. Haas one-on-one with Pickett. Clemson holding strong at the moment. Graham and the Blue Devils, not done. Graham wanted her shot there. Laguerre takes it. Tough bouncing ball, skids off the grass, but Reason no problem in the end. Nona Reason, a terrific athlete in her earlier days in high school. It's helpful once you get in goal. He's saying those goalkeepers aren't athletes now. Not that I was saying you were, but
Definitely.
in case you had that thought. Volleyball, basketball, lacrosse, flag football, snowboarding, surfing from Indiana, but also spent some time in California, in case you were wondering. That's all Nona Reason's sport history I'm laying out for you there. The goalkeeper about to get it back here for the Tigers. Casey, did you ever play any other sports before soccer took over?
I did. I played basketball, volleyball, softball, ran a little bit of track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lesser known fact, I might have pole vaulted my senior year.
Oh, come on.
It was interesting. It was interesting. But yes, loved the multi-sports for sure.
That is amazing. Brave. Pickett. Good looking ball. Short was there. Headed away nicely by Chico. Walters. One-on-one. Davis has to defend. Wins it. Gets it back to her goalkeeper. Well done, Danny Davis.
Well, and not only the 1v1 defending, the use of the body, but the ability to keep the ball. She's not having to just clear that out. Now that just allows Clemson to relax, have a build-out shape where they can enjoy a little bit of possession.
Duke retaking the lead in the 51st minute through Devin Lynch. Laguerre hops onto this ball. Graham cutting through into the area. Maggie Graham, give Duke more! The Duke Blue Devils have brought their attack to Clemson tonight.
And this game has just become more open-ended, and I think that seems to be to Clemson's advantage. But what Duke's done really well is their movement off the ball and in transition. Laguerre picks it up, and then there's runs above the ball. Good footwork here to keep it, but the vision, the pace on the ball, and again, it's the first touch from the receiving player. This time, it's Maggie Graham. There's separation provided when you have that good of a first touch. It draws your goalkeeper out, and then a great finish. You just want, as a playmaker, to keep this low and make it hard on the goalkeeper.
Fourth goal of the season, and the celebration from the captain, one of the captains for this Duke team, Maggie Graham, has scored at least one goal in all 5 of her seasons at Duke. Third player in Duke history to do so, along with Mackenzie Pluck and Tess Bodie. Clemson making a trio of changes. Bodak back onto the field for the Tigers. Manerick and Erickson, the 3 on for Clemson, trying to change the tide of this match, which has been all Duke in the second half. The Blue Devils out shooting Clemson 6-0 in the second half, outscoring them, more importantly, 2-0 since halftime.
And it's what we saw at the beginning of the first half as well, but if we go back to when we spoke to Robbie Church, it was the efficiency in the final third that he knew would need to be the difference, and that's what they've done different from the first half, is they've figured out ways to put those clear opportunities away in those 2 moments.
Wake Forest continuing to lead Stanford, #1 team, unbeaten in the country, but the Demon Deacons making some noise at home tonight. 65th minute in that one, Wake continues to lead.
And within the ACC, I feel like any team can win at any moment, but the consistency of can you do it back-to-back games against top opponents, that's something that Wake Forest has a chance to prove here tonight with playing Stanford.
No doubt. Graham. Walters. Look at the movement and the positioning as this Duke team builds, and the space is there. You said, Casey, it feels like it's got stretched a little bit this match. Saw that watching the Missouri match back, Duke's last opponent, which they absolutely dismantled 7-0. The space just seemed to open ever wider as that match went on, and Duke took full advantage.
And that's the hard part. When Clemson was pressing and being more aggressive in the first half, they had success. So they continue that in the second half. You can't sit back against a team like Duke because they'll just continue to go at you. But Duke's just been better at winning their 1v1 battle, finding space, and then finding runs above the ball.
Graham getting a little rest as Sonicheva comes back in. Former NCAA champion at UCLA in 2022. Maggie Graham continuing that Graham legacy at Duke. Remember her sister Delaney, also a part of the team for many years. Chico, really aggressive from that defensive position. She sometimes makes her head coach a little bit nervous because he says she only has 1 speed. If she steps, she's going, but has some experience to back that up as a grad student and a captain. Ball not cleared well. Pickett has some work to do to help out. SMU taking advantage of Nia Rose coming back from her time with the Canadian U20 national team, getting on the scoreboard. SMU leading Miami 2-1. You just cannot take anyone for granted in this conference. You've got a lot more teams to look through now with the additions like SMU, Stanford, Cal coming in. Ali Serlenga, first time we see the freshman number 23 as Short gets a little bit of a break, and Sheridan back on for the Tigers, replacing Tobia. Walters. Sonicheva giving chase. Is there a trip up there? It's outside the area. Initially, Michael Laverne, our referee, says play on.
They're going to need some last-ditch defending like that because Clemson is putting a lot of numbers forward when they look to go, trying to get back into the game. There's going to be those spaces in transition that are going to open up for Duke, and those kind of tackles are going to be needed if it wasn't a foul in those moments.
Right. That same spot, Duke looking for again. Sonicheva had 2 defenders around her, though.
A little more alert to it in that moment, and that's something that you want to see from Clemson is can they learn from those little moments where balls are getting in behind in transition.
Ball up behind. Not a bad idea, but not executed right enough for Sheridan to get there. Well, this was the last play for Duke on the attack.
And it's Sonicheva there, about to take a touch, and it does look like she gets her foot between the player and the ball in that moment, and well-timed. She doesn't go in towards Sonicheva, she actually goes towards the ball, so I think it's a good no call there.
Yeah, that was a nice play from Sydney Benerick, the senior defender for the Tigers. Good call from the referee. He's got to call it in real time. We have the benefit of looking back, and there is a lot more that can be looked at in video review. Technically, that one would not have been able to, even had he wanted to. This ball does, no, it doesn't. Now eventually it goes out for a goal kick. Had that play been a situation where it was last defender back, denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, that could have been looked at. Had it been in the penalty area and a potential penalty kick, that could have been looked at, but outside the area like that and with another defender close by, nothing doing. Manuso's coming off, and Lane St. George back in for the Clemson Tigers. And it's at that point in the match where you feel like with Clemson, if they can just find one, it becomes a completely different feel to this match. Duke looking really comfortable right now.
I think you're 100% right in that moment. If they can find a second goal to close the gap, I think that'll be really important because they already like to press, and it'll make Duke feel a little bit more uncomfortable that it's way tighter than they would like it to be with their performance this evening.
Heads up defending there by the Tigers, just making life difficult for Sonicheva there in the middle of the field. This looking like a one-time shot. It is blocked, though. Davis opts to eventually go back to Nona Reason. Career high 7 saves for Reason tonight, but has conceded 3 times against this Duke attack that has been one of the best in the country, quite honestly. Top 10 in terms of goals per game coming into this one tonight, averaging right about where they are now, 3.3. Bornkamp. Pivotal piece in the middle, always looking to win it, distribute it. Duke alert to it.
And Duke showing a bit of a different look right now. They're playing with 2 up front with Sancheva and Walter. So when they win it, it's really difficult for Clemson in transition because they have 2 right on their center backs. Completely different look than what we saw throughout the majority of this game. So those transition moments, there's a numbers advantage.
Duke bringing in some changes. Why do that, Casey? Why, if you're Duke right now and things are going so well, why make the shift?
I think it's a credit to what Eddie Radwanski can do and his team. They can adapt to those types of changes. They can adapt to the way that Duke is playing and settle in and cause problems for Duke. So you want to show a little bit different look, and then that way Clemson never feels comfortable because they don't know where those runs are going to come from. And then you've got Lynch a little more central. That's always involved in the transition.
Minestrella coming back on for Duke, along with Mary Long, a freshman who makes her first appearance of the night. Already 1 goal and 5 appearances for the Blue Devils this season for Long. Can really add something up top. Definitely a goal scorer. Another one for Duke. That was her there, number 10 in blue. When you talk about not just having depth, but having great depth, which is what Duke feels they have on the roster this season, that's when you start dreaming about putting together something special. This Duke team certainly playing with a lot of confidence and belief through this 5-match winning streak that they've been on, losing only their season opener against Ohio State 1-0. Lynch lost it. Lynch had the go-ahead goal for the Blue Devils in the 51st minute, and Graham adding some insurance 10 minutes later. All the runners calling for it. Haas has her arm up. She is off to the races now, trying to get in behind the defense. Not the finish that Haas was looking for that time around. Here's our Week 4 ACC Network football lineup starting Saturday at noon Eastern with North Carolina's 3-0 hosting James Madison. Then it is Virginia Tech and Rutgers, and we'll cap the night with Boston College and Michigan State at 8. Pitt, who's also 3-0, will host Youngstown State at 3:30 Eastern on ACC Network Extra and ESPN+. Bornkamp getting a little rest here as Tobia comes back on in her place for the Tigers. Sent some frustration maybe for Bornkamp?
I think so, and I think she did really well up there for majority of the game holding on to the ball, but in these last 10 to 15 minutes or so, she's really been taken out of the game because they haven't been able to get it up to her at her feet.
Tobia immediately sensing an opportunity as she comes on. Ball all the way to the end line. Sheridan doing the work for the Tigers.
That's another piece with Tobia coming in, just a lot of energy coming off the bench as well. Sometimes you got to use that to your advantage and just give them another look. Duke's been giving a secondary look with their 2 up front, and now it's time for Clemson to show that.
St. George having to work to keep possession. Will be a Clemson throw. Interesting that Duke was picked 7th in the ACC preseason poll. Looking every bit like a contender in this conference.
They 100% do. They're so fluid on the ball, and I think it's a good thing that they were tested as well, giving up that goal, because they had to fight through that and see if they could figure out how still to find their attacking shape and their movement and their interchange. You want those moments throughout a season to test your team, and I think this is a big one for them.
Yeah. Especially when you've been winning and been winning easily.
Exactly.
At least it looks that way when you look at the score lines of the last couple of matches. That North Carolina match was certainly not easy, a non-conference matchup where Duke beat the Tar Heels 1-0. other side, Clemson, of course, feeling that test of wills as well tonight, how they've had to adjust. Eddie Redwanski really pleased with that in the first half. They came back to tie it once. Can they pull another one back here, make these last 15 minutes interesting for everyone?
And they're certainly going to want to do that, but I think you're also right. Bigger picture, Clemson can play with the top of the ACC. They were just in the College Cup a year ago. Yeah. These new players that have stepped in and just the new units that are coming together, there's been really big moments in this game where they've made it difficult for Duke and really tested them.
No doubt, and mentioned Florida State. They're the team that was picked to win the ACC again in the preseason. And that's who the Clemson Tigers will face next Thursday, heading down to Tallahassee. We'll be there for that one next Thursday night on ACCN. Blue Devils on the attack, shot, and there is another save to add to that already career high. That is number 8 now for Reason in goal. Duke out shooting Clemson 16-4. The Tigers have still yet to register a shot in the second half. Does it come here? Tobia! Oh, she was lining that one up. Had it blocked, though.
There wasn't that little bit of hesitation. There's that little half second that allowed Roller to get over, but you could tell she wanted to take it.
And Roller is actually going to sit down behind the play now. She blocked that shot from close range. The referee will go over to take a look. Cam Roller, since stepping onto the field at Duke, has been pretty impressive defensively. Last year, member of the ACC All-Freshman team, was out injured most of the preseason last year, but was the highest-ranked defender in her class. And now really one of the anchors back there defensively for Duke.
And that's not an easy role to be in as we take a look at what just had her taking a little bit of a breather, was just that hard shot right in the side in that moment. But going into that center back role, in her second year, when you only play with 3 in the back, you have a lot of responsibility defensively from that center position.
Officially now, the shot tally in the second half, 7-1 in favor of Duke. That last one from Tobia was counted as a shot. It was blocked. So Leah Freeman did not have to do any work. Appreciates her defenders doing it for her, even if they are a little worse for the wear after the fact. Last time Duke won at Clemson was 2018. Tigers lead the series here at home, 7-5-2. Haven't played every year with the imbalanced ACC schedule. The speed. There's Katie Groff there getting back for Duke. Haven't called her name that often, and she's one of those defensive players too for the Blue Devils who just gets the work done. Blue Devils taking another shot, putting it right at Reason, though. Maybe you'd consider that a bit wasteful. You want something better, more dangerous out of that.
I think so, too. I think that you could probably go in a little bit further in the final third and create a better opportunity there, but still a good strike with the left foot.
Demon Deacons on the verge of what would be another massive upset on the season. 81st minute. Number 1 Stanford on the ropes in Winston-Salem. Battle SMU and Miami going on.
That's a back and forth one right there.
Two defenders converge for Clemson. Minestrella. Groff.
And you mentioned Katie Groff on the defensive side, just a really good defender, very disciplined, good on the tackle. Don't talk about her a whole lot, but that's a good thing from a defensive standpoint. When we are talking about her, it's because she's hit a set piece goal or gone up for a header on corner kicks, which that's a good thing when you have a defender that's always constantly tested when she's in her final third.
Katie Groff getting certified over the summer to be an EMT. She hopes to have the opportunity maybe to work a Duke football game this fall.
I've known Katie since she was a youth player. She's just an amazing human being as well, and so good in school, very great academically, a good human and a good player. Just overall, it's really great to see her thriving.
Brathwaite coming back on for Clemson. Do the Tigers have a final push in these 10 minutes? Hoping to avoid dropping to 0-2 to start ACC play, but have to make up at least 2 goals to start talking about a tie. Pretty incredible, some of the things that these Duke players have done over the summer. Lindy Brown, the excellent sports information director at Duke, showing us as this ball, into Freeman. Clemson showing us something there, but showing what these players are doing in their downtime.
Yeah, and Freeman almost came a little bit too much to that ball and then eventually read the flight and was able to deal with it, but Clemson definitely looking to put her under pressure.
And just like that, a moment like that can turn this match on its head. That certainly happened in the first half when it was a giveaway in the back, a bad pass from Leah Freeman in goal, and Jenna Tobia did not make a mistake when she found the ball at her feet. Tied it up in the 27th minute. The rest of that half felt completely different. Duke has once again regained control here since the halftime break. And this attack showing no signs of letting up. Offside flag will halt them this time around.
And the real difference we're seeing from Duke, a lot of the attack in the first half was down the wide channels, but now they're kind of getting back to that central channel play. There's so much trust in the player on the ball that there's multiple runs above it. You have to have confidence in your teammates to do that, know that they're going to beat their own pressure, and have an unselfishness to just go beyond and make those runs.
Back out wide this time for Duke. Showing you that SMU-Miami match going back and forth tonight. SMU's next up for the Blue Devils. No match this weekend, though. That's not until next week that they'll host SMU at their home field, Koskinen Stadium. Sophia Recupero, number 14, coming on to replace Haas for the Blue Devils. This is a freshman who's been starting to get a little more involved for Robbie Church's team.
And Robbie Church did say, like, he wants to find her minutes on the field because she's playing incredibly well. She's been really good in the attack. It's obviously a very talented Duke team, so hard to do that, but a player that's coming into form in her first season.
One quick touch per Duke player setting up this play. And then that's a foul. Free kick coming. This could be Katie Groff time.
And Phoebe Goldthwait gets into this area right here, puts a battle on Danny Davis, wins it, gets her body in front, and then Davis reacts. Goldthwait able to draw the foul, and I think you're right, with the left foot of Katie Groff, this could be a great opportunity to see her strike from distance or a service. Not sure if she'll be on it. It looks like she might actually be a target, and this might be more of a service opportunity.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be Hannah Bibar's ball to serve in. Takes a lot of the corner kicks and set pieces, Bibar, for the Blue Devils. Two-time All-American in her career at Harvard. It is going for Groff at the back post, but it didn't make it quite that far. Whether it was supposed to get there originally or maybe a flick in the middle, she had a big run coming at the back post.
Yeah, you can use her on the ball or off the ball, honestly. She's very good in the air, and that one just didn't have enough on it, but a good run from Groff on the back post.
Friday's ACC PM with Mark Packer will come to you from Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, as they prep for the Michigan State-Boston College game beginning at 4 Eastern. That game right here in ACCN Saturday night at 8 Eastern. Hope Pack's going to go find himself a good cannoli while he's up there at Chestnut Hill. Mike's Pastry, always a favorite spot. Didn't get one last time I was up there, though.
It's a mistake.
Sad. I know. Didn't get barbecue this time. I came to Clemson. I'm definitely not living the life right in terms of the eating scene and visiting these schools. We'll work on remedying that.
As you're recognizing that.
Yeah, yeah. Freeman. Big ball over the top. Come on, give that goalkeeper an assist. Get there, Duke trying to. But the opposing goalkeeper not having any of that. Reason putting it away from danger. 2 number 11s coming back for each team. Sonacheva for Duke. And Short for Clemson. Keeping track of subs can be a full-time job. Always appreciative of the wonderful Karen Blackman sitting next to me here in Clemson. Keeps me honest on those subs. Helps us keep you informed as to who's out there for each team. We appreciate all of our team as always. Our ACC Network broadcasts. Under 5 to play. Duke Blue Devils 2 goals in the second half to break a 1-1 stalemate at halftime. Another free kick coming here for the Blue Devils.
And that's Mary Long again. We just saw from Leah Freeman previously, her almost able to get Mary Long in behind. Duff was able to stop it. Now another dangerous set piece with Hannah Bebar on it.
And these are always opportunities, right? To think about things you might have been working on in practice and at training. Maybe you've got some special tricks, some different targets you're looking for. Bebar looking for Long. Credit Clemson, though, covering those runs pretty well. That's a tough challenge. Good to see Sheridan back up. Hooser back in. Duff coming off for the Tigers. And this could be more of an offensive type substitution for the Tigers, trying to get more attacking players on the field in these final few minutes, chasing the match.
And she did insert right there into midfield. Hooser came in for Mackenzie Duff, who was the center back. So just creating more numbers in the middle third. Try to do something to disrupt Duke and get the ball forward.
Have to get the ball away from Duke to start. Minestrella keeping it herself at the moment. Now looking for a pass in between the lines. The original turn from Goldthwaite denied the follow-up shot. Watch out for the little shot sneaking in from behind. Shots coming from everywhere. That was Recupero.
And this is really good in the final third. Recupero gets the ball. Look at the feet from Goldthwaite right there in that moment. It's a tough challenge, but keeps it alive, and it's Recupero that steps in and forces the save from Reason.
And if you think it's tough to keep up with who all is popping up in the attack for Duke, imagine being Clemson right now. All the different plays,
there's
all the
so much
different
interchange.
players.
Yes,
Yeah.
There's definitely only a starting position in the system of play in which they put out there, and then there's so much movement in that final third.
Pretty dominant second half for Duke in particular in this one tonight. Just having their way, controlling the ball, controlling possession, getting off plenty of shots, out shooting Clemson 18-5 in the match.
And they've shown resilience in the way they've done it. It didn't come easy from Clemson, and so that's just another step for Duke as they continue to go throughout ACC play. I mean, I guess they're just starting it. So starting ACC play is, can they really bounce back from giving up a goal like they did? And they really have, and their possession has still been great.
Little slip on the ball from Long, quickly recovers herself. Her parents, Chris and Angie Long, co-owners of the Kansas City Current in the NWSL. So Mary growing up around soccer. And what a big result for Wake Forest. First it was #2 Virginia, now it is #1 Stanford. Wake the nation, the Demon Deacons are coming for you in the ACC.
There's so much change going on. Tony DeLuce has to be happy about his team and how they're playing right now. Not only playing well, but effective against the top teams in the country. So put them up there in that conversation.
Yeah, put them up there in the rankings. Show the Deeks a little love. We showed you how much you can move if you get a big win. Looks like Wake Forest ready to continue their ascent at 13. They jumped up there after being unranked when they took down the Cavaliers. Now Stanford suffering their first loss. Short intercepting the pass here for Clemson. Crosses central into the teeth of the defense, though. Bibar, such a steady presence in the middle of the field. A wonderful pickup for this Duke soccer team transfer from Harvard. Sonicheva driving in, denied one more as the final seconds tick off. What a dominant Duke performance, getting the 3-1 win tonight.
It really was a great performance from Duke. They started both halves very quick. They